Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to the Flight Sim community. This is FlighterStrike95, and today we're back on Microsoft Flight Sim 2024 here. And today we're back with our 50 States and 50 Stream series. Today we'll be doing part 9 of 50. We're in the northeastern state of New Hampshire, guys. I hope you're all doing well here today. So we're here in New Hampshire today. We're at Arrow Airport, just in the northern part of New Hampshire. And today we'll be doing a really cool little trip up and down the state of New Hampshire. Should be a beautiful area to fly here today. I know it's kind of in the winter time still, but it still looks absolutely gorgeous out here in New Hampshire. So, guys, I hope you're all having a great weekend so far. My weekend's going pretty smoothly here today. Just currently been working on a lot more of basically just been working more on all my stuff, mainly my notes for my upcoming series, the National Park series. Coming up with that. So I hope you're all doing well here today. So a little bit about New Hampshire. It's also known a little bit of background on New Hampshire. It is known as the Granite State. Because granite was a major part of this area for hundreds of years. It's been a big part of its economy, but it's also got some really cool. It's a little hidden gem of a state. Beautiful scenery and great landscapes. Great area to do some G8 flying. So we're going to go over our 5 minutes, but before we do, I want to say hello to everyone in the chat. Hello to my moderator, Super Typhon, and all the lurkers in the chat. Hello, hello to all of you guys. So here's our flight plan for this morning stream. So we'll start at Arrow Airport. We'll be flying out of there. We'll head our way southwest and we'll visit Mount Washington. We might get a chance to fly up in the peak of Mount Washington, the highest point in New Hampshire. Also, this place is insanely windy in real life too, so watch out for winds because winds are a major concern in this part of New Hampshire. So you gotta be careful for the winds. Then from there, we'll head our way southwest, continue our way over past Waterville Valley, and we'll make our way over to our first stop of the day at Plymouth Municipal Airport, 1 Papa 1, a grass runway strip outside of Plymouth, New Hampshire. From there, we'll continue on southeast. We'll make our way through Lake Winnipesaukee, or make our way over to our second stop in Concord. We'll fly over the state capital of New Hampshire and make our way down to our next stop. Then from there, we'll head down south. We'll make our way over to Manchester, the largest city in the state. Then from there, we'll make our way over southeast, make our way through to Seabrook, and fly around the New Hampshire coastline to our final stop at Portsmouth International at Peace. So that is where we're going to be for today's stream. That will be it. It'd be a pretty short little stream, but we have mobile scenery since then. Oh, hey, Danton, good to see you. Yes, we're back in your home state. That's right. We're back in New Hampshire. Good to see you, my dude. It's been a long time. And Red Baron, good to see you as well. But yeah, New Hampshire's really cool. It's a cool little state. I do really want to check it out at some point in real life. So the aircraft we're taking today, it is the Slim Shock Ultra. I thought this would be a good plane for today. It'll go around 75, 80 knots, which is just right for today's stream. It'll be about 2 hours, and since it'll be slow, we get a chance to enjoy the New Hampshire scenery. So I thought this would be a really neat little plane for me. So I think it's a really cool plane. I think, again, it's not used very much as a STOL plane because most people are either using the X-Cub, the Draco, the Savage Norden. That's used a lot for a lot of STOL planes. Even the Savage Cub. So this thing kind of gets a little lost. But I thought this would be a great time to get this little bird some opportunity to fly. She is a simple plane to get up and going. I will load this plane up with some fuel. As we can see, I'm gonna fuel this up to 100% tank. That we're gonna heal, and we're gonna get. We go. Yeah. New Hampshire's really cool. Now, of course, I'll keep the weather where it's at in February. However, I will also show you a bit of the scenery, what it looks like in the fall. So you guys will get, because New Hampshire is absolutely gorgeous in the fall time. Of course, I'm going to keep this within the weather, obviously, since I want to keep this accurate to the day we're doing this. Oh, nice. Alton Bay Seaport's finally open. Oh, really? I didn't know about that. That's a cool fact, Dan 10. Alton Bay Seaplane Base. Oh, nice. We might, I don't know, we might be able to visit there. I wonder where it's located. So is the traffic. Yeah, I don't know if it'll be killing the sim. But we'll find out, of course. Oh yeah, it's right over to the west. It's on the lake. And oh yeah, I went out of the runway, but who cares? It's a push plane. And as you can tell, this plane does not need a lot of support to get off the ground. Welcome to beautiful New Hampshire. Absolutely gorgeous today, man. Oh boy, absolutely gorgeous. So, if you guys are aware here, if you guys are here in the first time in this series, this is the 50 States in 50 Streams series. We'll cover all 50 states. This is part 910, guys. All the scenery, man. This is gorgeous. I want to see what this looks like in the fall, because I am so curious to see what it looks like in the fall time. Oh, crap. It says undefined, undefined. Uh, this is weird. So, no, I can't change the weather for some reason. This is weird. Never happened to me before. Oh, okay, okay, I got it changed. Okay, let's see what it looks like in October. So this is what New Hampshire looks like in the fall with the fall colors, man. Wow, that's cool. Oh yeah, thank you for that. Oh yeah. Mind you, this is now in the base sim too. Ah, beautiful. That is definitely pretty. I am gonna change it back soon to the normal weather, just because I want to keep this accurate to date, keep this up to date with the real life weather. This is nice, and this is pretty. Yeah, a lot of people don't know this, but New Hampshire is actually a prettier state than people give it credit for. Fall colors and fall season. So I'm going to go back to February. We'll get back to the normal date. So let's talk a little bit about the U.S. state of New Hampshire for a little bit, guys. Oh yeah, Washington would look really good. Yeah, Washington would look fantastic. So let's go over the U.S. state of New Hampshire for a little bit today. U.S. state of New Hampshire is in the New England region. It borders Massachusetts to the south, Vermont to the west, Maine east, the Canadian province of Quebec to the north, and those are the main things bordering New Hampshire. It's actually the 7th smallest state in the country by land area and the 10th least populated with 1.37 million residents as of 2020. The state capital is Concord, while Manchester is the most populous city. Of course, its nickname is the Granite State, which is referred to its granite formations and quarries. It's also well known for nationwide for holding the first primary after Iowa in the U.S. presidential cycle. So as a result, this has played a huge, big history in American electoral politics. Of course, nowadays, its economy is much more for declining, from lumber to now financial services, real estate, transportation, and tech. However, the big thing that makes New Hampshire unique is its mountains and forested terrains. So as a result, it's been growing much more for tourism, for outdoor stuff. Between some of the highest ski mountains on the East Coast, one of the most climbed mountains in the world, and more, making New Hampshire a really cool state in the Northeast. Great nature place for nature. Really, really cool area. It's a pretty state. I think New Hampshire gets really overlooked. So before the Europeans came around and talked about the native tribes, we have various Algonquin-speaking Abenaki tribes, largely divided between the Androscoggin, Palisuk, and Pennacook nations. They inhabited this area before European colonization. Despite their similar languages, their cultures and religions are very different from the other Algonquin people. Indigenous people have lived near this area like around 12,000 years ago. Then the first Europeans came around, with English and French explorers visiting the area in 1600, 1605, and David Thompson settled at Oderan's Point in present-day Rye, New Hampshire, 1623. However, the first permanent European settlement was actually at Hilton's Point, which is in present-day Dover, New Hampshire. And by 1631, the upper plantation consisted of modern Dover, Durham, and Strahan, and it became Royal Providence. During this time, of course, it was one of the 13 colonies, and it rebelled against Britain for the American Revolution. During the Revolution times, New Hampshire was economically divided between the seacoast region, in sawmills, shipyards, and merchant warehouses, and the established village and town centers where wealthy merchants built homes. Also, one notable thing that happened in New Hampshire was in December 1774, when Paul Revere War Patriots in Fort William and Mary would be reinforced with British troops. The following day, John Sullivan raided that fort, and during the raid, British soldiers fired at rebels with cannons and muskets. Even though there were no casualties, they were among the first shots in the Revolutionary period, occurred 5 months before the Battle of Lexington and Concord. So technically, New Hampshire became the first colony to declare independence from Britain. That's right, before all the others, New Hampshire was the first to do that. Of course, in 1788, New Hampshire ratified the U.S. Constitution. It became the 9th state to do so. And during that time, it was a Jacksonian stronghold during the antebellum period, thanks to a lot of textile mills in the region, which attracted large flows of immigrants, mainly from Quebec, Ireland. Of course, the state doesn't have too much of a long history because New Hampshire's been a pretty quiet state for the most part in terms of its history. It's been pretty quiet. And then, of course, later on in the 20th century, the textile industry collapsed, but now the economy is more of a high technology and service provider. Of course, starting in 1952, New Hampshire gained national and international attention for its presidential primary held every presidential election year every 4 years. And immediately became an important testing ground for candidates for both Republican and Democratic nominations. So that's right now a pretty big deal for New Hampshire. like I said, not too much going on with New Hampshire's history. And I think it might have to do with the fact that New Hampshire, unlike other U.S. states, has been a lot more quieter compared to the rest of the other states. Like, for example, it doesn't have any of the big major cities like Massachusetts or New York. It feels kind of quieter. That doesn't mean they are important states. I think they very are important in their own ways, but for some reason it's a bit quieter as a result. So let's look outside for our out of our cockpit for a bit for the scenery here in Vermont, in New Hampshire. So we're actually heading towards the White Mountains of New Hampshire. What we're really doing is climb to 6,000 feet because we're going to be climbing quite high because we're going to be heading to Mount Washington, and that right here is Mount Washington. Right ahead of them is the White Mountain. And that's the tallest point in the Northeast United States. So in terms of New Hampshire as well, I do want to bring a mention to um, the White Mountains mountain range coming up. Is all this area right here is the White Mountains. They're basically covered about a quarter of New Hampshire's size, as well as a small portion of western Maine, and they're the most rugged mountains of New England. And some of the higher peaks are alpine tundra, and this range is very visited due to its proximity with Boston, New York City, and Montreal. Of course, most of this area is public land, including the White Mountain National Forest, but its most famous peak, and we'll talk about its own slide. I actually got its own slide, actually. Mount Washington, the highest peak in the Northeast, and the most prominent peak east of the Mississippi. Of course, its winds are very infamous. This place can get insanely windy. I kid you. And I'll talk more about that. But also, the White Mountains include the Franconia Range, Sandwich Range, Parda Moria Range, and more. And there are 48 peaks that are over 4,000 feet high. And of course, yeah, while the Appalachian Trail crosses through this area too. And I might do a future series of the Appalachian Trail. But yeah, these mountains were created about 124 to 100 million years ago when the North American plate moved westward over the New England hotspot, and it caused a lot of the mountain nation. There's a lot of different attractions in this area too. Of course, the White Mountain National Forest is really well known. Of course, a lot of roads through here, including the Kanagamas Highway. And it's also got several amusement parks, cave parks, and ski resorts are all over this region too. Definitely a beautiful place, worth checking out. Hey, King Cobra, good to see you. Welcome on in, King Cobra. Kikamingus. Okay, thank you, Kikamingus. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate that. Look, I'm smart, but pronunciations, I can get some things wrong. I know I can get things wrong. I mean, as good as I am, I can make this wrong. But yeah, that area is a very popular that is a very popular area for a lot of people to drive through during the fall season. Scenery from there looks absolutely the fall season. And speaking of which, we're going to go ahead and take a hello to Mount Washington for a bit, which we're about to hit Mount Washington very soon. But Mount Washington, oh boy. This peak is at 6,200 feet. It's the most topographically prominent mountain of the Mississippi River. In terms of isolated peaks, this is the sixth most isolated peak in the country. It's the 18th tallest point of each state in the United States. But this mountain is really well known and it's infamous for its weather because apparently on a certain day in April 12, 1934, observatory up there recorded a wind speed of 231 miles an hour at the summit. 231 miles per hour. And it held that record from 1934 to 1996. It's still the record for the highest measured wind speed not associated with a tornado or cyclone. So yes, it is. The winds are absolutely insane. Thankfully, I don't have live weather on because the wind might blow my poor little Shock Ultra out of there easily. Of course, it's part of the presidential range, which contain names of other U.S. presidents. For example, we have Mount Adams, Mount Jefferson, Mount Eisenhower, and Mount Pierce are some of the presidential range, all named after U.S. presidents, of course. And of course, you can descend from the Mount Washington Causeway from the western slope. In the east, you have the Mount Washington Auto Road. And a lot of people do like to visit the peak, especially via the Appalachian Trail. Other activities also include glider flying, backcountry skiing, and an annual cycle running races are very popular here at Mount Washington. And the area's got a lot of interesting history, too. Mainly the fact that this was one of the first tourist destinations in the country back in the 19th century. Yeah, names are always the worst. But really cool stuff. Mount Washington, a really neat area of the United States. If I didn't have Larry Monitor, I would actually try to land at the peak, and that would give us one heck of a view from up there. But yeah, the view is absolutely. For the reason why wind in Mount Washington is so windy, apparently from what I've read, it's because the air that collides with the summit is not slowed by friction. It's known as the Venturi effect, which is why Mount Washington is so windy. Is the Venturi effect. Plus, it also has three different storm tracks. Allowing severe storms. So these storms can bring over 1,000 miles an hour. Oh yeah, this area once got 49 inches of snow in 1969. Is wind. Yes. So according to summit conditions, right now, the gust is currently at 16.7 miles an hour right now in Mount Washington. That's at the summit. Thankfully, the wire's pretty good, but this place can get windy. It's been a long time since I've been to the top aside from the trails, but there's also Conrail. Exactly. I can get you guys. I can find the video. Here, I got the video. I'll post. I got the video up there for you guys if you want to check that out. But this is the Mount Washington Cog Railway. It'll take you up to the summit and all that, and you get to. Some of the views are absolutely crazy for this part of the country. Here it is, guys, Mount Washington, and this some heck of a peak. This is just normally we don't go up these mountains, but we're gonna go up them today. Here's Mount Madison, Mount Adams. Of course, I don't have an autopilot, so this makes things a little more tricky with how I want to fly in and around up here. Also, according to Firefly Air, by the way, for other flights and stuff, Firefly Air, our virtual airline, by the way, for the Two-Tone River community, which I'm a proud member of, well, we're currently at 2.8 million. So I did give Murph a suggestion where we're gonna go next. So I think our next hub's gonna be somewhere in Europe. It's gonna be our next hub, since I think it'd be a good time for the next hub to be in Europe. So keep an eye out. But yeah, we're getting pretty close. I know I haven't done a lot of Firefly Air flying, though I've been catching up over the last couple of days. So I'm not too far outside of the top 5. So I can definitely get back to here if I do more flying. Also, for other sports news, Louisville basketball I don't know why Louisville lost last night to Georgia Tech. Why did they happen? If all the teams to play against, why did it have to lose to Georgia Tech? They're one of the worst teams in the ACC. Why would they lose to them? Oh well, like, it happens, but that sucks. However, that's not even the biggest story, because we might just have one of the biggest NBA trades ever, as Maverick superstar Luka Doncic, as well as Maxi Kleber and Markieff Morris, are traded to the Lakers for Anthony Davis, Max Christie in the 2029 first-round pick. Yes, this is real. I'm not kidding. That is one of the biggest trades ever, especially in the regular season. Yeah, I would be just as puzzled if I were you too. Here's, guys, the White Mountains. Oh yeah, here's all the trailheads and stuff. So here's all the trailheads that will take you up to the mountain peak. And of course, you all know the other side of it too. So yeah, really cool and stuff. But yeah, the NBA trade, I did not see that one coming at all. I mean, there are all sorts of interesting trades, but like, I can't believe that's even. Poor Mavs fans. They lose one of the most talented players they've ever had for a 30-year-old Anthony Davis. I mean, it's hard to believe Luka Doncic and LeBron James on the same freaking team. Either that goes well, or that completely backfires. Here's, guys, Mount Washington's peak. Here's, guys, the observatory here in Mount Washington. go ahead and take this picture here for you guys. Mount Washington Observatory. Here's the observatory here in Mount Washington. Here it is, the Mount Washington Observatory. Sorry about me having to put the auto pop. I had to get this for the drone cam. Man, look at the view! All the views absolutely amazing. I know, the observatory looks fantastic. The view is absolutely... You should be able to see Boston from up here? Really? Wow, that's crazy. Oh man, that is gorgeous. Let's look at other times. Oh my goodness. Wow, this area is just pretty up there in New Hampshire. This is a fall season. Oh, this would be a great time to check out the mountain. That's amazing up here. Of course, there's all the ski resorts down here too. What an incredible view. And of course, if you look to the side of the mountain, you should see an amazing view. Absolutely amazing. The views are absolutely nuts. So speaking about geography, I want to go back to my slides if that's all right. Man, the views are absolutely amazing. Absolutely. Absolute gem. Oh yeah, by the way, if you guys want to see these snapshots, I'll post these information in the Discord. If you guys want to check it out, freestyle. Oh really? Freestyle skiing. I didn't know about that. That's fantastic. Thank you for that. But about New Hampshire's geography, and really an interesting thing about New Hampshire is geographically. You see, even though it's part of New England, one of the more unique things about it is the fact it's quite mountainous because of the White Mountains, and that includes the tallest peak in the Northeast. At Mount Washington, you have Mount Adams and Mount Jefferson. Of course, New Hampshire is also well known for having the shortest ocean coastline of any U.S. coastal state, with a length of 18 miles. So sometimes it is only at 13 miles of coastline, and that's mainly at the southeast portion of the state. And that runs alongside from Seabrook Beach all the way up to Portsmouth. So yeah, not much beach coastline. It's also quite mountainous due to the White Mountain ranges. Over 100 recorded deaths among visitors, and conspicuous vegetation and stuff. So it is very tough. The White Mountains were also home to a unique formation called the Old Man of the Mountain. However, it disintegrated in 2003. However, his profile still is present even in the state today. New Hampshire is also known for its 800 lakes and ponds and 19,000 miles of rivers and streams, including the 110-mile Merrimack River that bisects through much of the state. The largest lake is Lake Winnipesaukee, which covers 71 square miles, or 184 square kilometers. And it has also the highest percentage of timberland in the country. And a lot of it is temperate broadleaf mixed forest, mainly with conifers and hardwood. Much of the forest. An environmental issue has been pretty big since the 1900s due to poor logging practices. So pretty cool stuff about the geography. No worries, Dan. Thank you so much for having a New Hampshire local around here. Thank you so much. Well, don't worry. I'll post it back on my YouTube if you guys want to check that out again. But thank you so much. I hope to see you again soon, my dude. And the next part is definitely climate. Is definitely the climate of New Hampshire. New Hampshire experiences humid continental climate, southern areas, but most of the state is pretty much it's subarctic in the northern highland areas with warm humid summers and long, cold, snowy winters. Precipitation is evenly distributed all year. The southeast portion is moderated by the Atlantic Ocean, so it has milder winters for New Hampshire compared to other parts of the state, mainly the northern and interior portion. Winters are cold and snowy throughout the state, and especially severe in the northern mountains areas like here in Mount Washington. Finally, extreme snow is often associated with nor'easter, like the blizzard of '78 and the blizzard of 1993, where several feet accumulate among portions of the state over 28 to 48 hours of snow. So yes, this area can get snow. So do be warned, snow is a pretty big concern in this part of New Hampshire. It's definitely very impressive. We're an impressive little state. New Hampshire. Again, it's really overlooked for general aviation flying because New Hampshire is overlooked. It may not be the biggest. So Of course, for next week's streams, I do want to talk a little bit about next week. So next week we got planned. I'm thinking about taking the 737 Max out for a bit. I haven't actually done much streaming with the 737 Max, so I think we're gonna do that on Wednesday. And I'm thinking we're gonna do some flying out of Japan. I think I haven't done very much flying in Japan in a bit, so I was thinking about doing some flying around Asia. I'm actually gonna think about doing some flying with the 737 Max in Asia probably. Or you know what? Since this is winter technically, I might actually want to do some flying out of Russia, maybe. I haven't actually visited Russia at MSFS 2020 at all, so I want to actually do some flying in a country I haven't really flown much, which is Russia. I did flew over much of Russia in 2020 due to being involved. So I'm thinking about doing some short hop flying, Nizhny Novgorod to Moscow, Sheremevo, and then Moscow over to St. Petersburg. That would be what I want to do because, like I said, Russia's not a country I've done a lot of flying over, and I think it would be interesting to check out and maybe learn more about Moscow and St. Petersburg for, and maybe give you some bit of background information about Russia too. Again, not talking about politics. I'm talking about history or all that. Just trying to talk about geography. That'll be Wednesday probably, and then on Friday and Sunday we'll be back with the 50 states and 50 streams. We'll be heading to we'll finish up part 1 of 5. On Friday, we'll cover the U.S. state of Virginia, a state with a very rich history. So we'll be flying from Roanoke over to Virginia Beach. We'll pass over Charlottesville, Richmond, Jamestown, Williamsburg, and Norfolk. And then on Sunday we'll be starting part 2, and we'll go over the Empire State, one of the longest streams of the journey, in New York. We'll be flying from Buffalo over to flying from Niagara Falls over to New York City for that. So that's going to be for next week's stream, and I'll cover for next week. I'll post the information later on, and we'll cover all that. It's kind of hard to control sometimes because these planes don't have autopilot, so it can be a little hard to control. This is gorgeous. These are some of the ski valleys too. Waterville Valley isn't far from here. Well, these areas are just gorgeous. We'll be making our way very shortly. So. Through this area. So our first stop won't be too much farther away. It'd be Plymouth Municipal. right here is Waterville Valley to our left. Go to our left, we have Waterville Valley Ski. There again, this area's got lots of resorts up here, so skiing is very popular in this part of New Hampshire. Here it is, guys. We're not too much far. We can go ahead and make our first lane here. This is a nice thing. Also, nice thing about taking the Shock Ultra today was the Shock Ultra is kind of nice and slow, which is perfect for this kind of flying here, for the New Hampshire scenery here. We're now descending finally to the lower regions of the state. We just got out of the White Mountain region, which is definitely really mountainous, and it's a really beautiful area for a lot of skiing. Here, guys. It's an incredible view. So in terms of my other stream stuff, my other projects, I'm currently working on Voyagers National Park for our next series, so I'm covering Voyagers next. Our first stop is going to be around here shortly. We're just using this to descend all the way down. But man, some of the views are just amazing. The views are nuts. Look at the river. It's all part of the Pygmy-Wasset River. That's, this state's absolutely, again, a very overlooked state. New Hampshire's really overlooked as a state for flying. I get it. I know New Hampshire isn't the biggest state. It doesn't have massive canyons. But like I said, this state's got tons of charm. Tons. The mountains and all that. Tons of little charm. It's a charming little place. Amazing. We're going to go ahead and make our landing here. Here it is, guys. Plymouth Municipal's coming up very shortly. That'll be our first stop. We'll rest here and we'll prepare for leg number 2. Hey, we got Raid Sergeant Staff. Hello, Sergeant Staff and viewers. Good to see you. We're here in New Hampshire today. We're doing our 50 States 52 series, my first MSFS 2024 Flight Sim series. And today we're here in beautiful New Hampshire today. If you guys aren't aware about New Hampshire, very underrated little gem of a state for GA flying. Especially it'd be at its most beautiful when you have the fall colors, of course. Here's what it looks like with fall colors in mind. Oh my god. Holy moly, the fall colors here, man. I mean, if I wanted to keep it up to date for the season, but man, the fall colors here look amazing. Oh, what a beautiful place. Good to see you. You guys don't know Sergeant Staff, a longtime close friend of the community, a great dude. I always love his streams. I know I had to pop in earlier today, so we're gonna go ahead and make our first land of the day, Plymouth Municipal. Little grass strip. Maybe a little hard to see with the snow in the way, but we're gonna make our landing here. I hope you had a great stream, my dude. Hope you had a great stream. I wonder where you got up to today. I know I just popped in a little bit. I didn't know where you were flying. Wanted to pop in. So yeah, we're taking the Shock Ultra today. I thought this would be a nice little bush plane to take for today. Thought with this being a more rugged state, the other bush plane would be nice and fine. Oh, no, 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 no. No, 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 no. Maybe I should have landed with one instead of two. I forget the flaps on this thing are quite strong. That was not a good landing, guys. My apology. Never really landed the Shock Ultra with two. Yeah, we're gonna park. Yeah, we made our first stop here. Now, one of the really cool things about New Hampshire, guys, if you guys just checked in earlier today, so if you guys want to know where we started, here's our little nav map. So we started earlier at Arrow Airport, up in the Northern Highlands of New Hampshire. From there, we made our way south, and we visited Mount Washington, the most topographically prominent peak east of the Mississippi. I got to see the observatory up there. Really cool stuff. The views from that mountain are absolutely incredible views. Just stunning. Then from there, we went our way over to, and we went over to Plymouth. We got to visit the rest of the White Mountains. Absolutely stunning scenery all around. Got amazing scenery. Of course, we'll be back. We'll be doing part lake 2, which is Plymouth. We'll visit the largest lake in the state, Winnipesaukee. Then we'll make our way to Concord. And finally, the third final leg, we're going to make our way to Manchester and make our way through the coast, which is really small. Like the coastline of New Hampshire is the smallest of any U.S. coastal state, only 18 miles long. That is what we're doing here on our stream today. Oh, nice. Duluth, Minnesota to Lorain, Ohio. From the Twin Port, Duluth to Lorain, Ohio. Nice. Oh, cool. More about shipbuilding. That's nice. You know, like I said, the Great Lakes area has a lot of shipbuilding stuff. Um, Of course, next week we'll be starting Buffalo, so we have in Lake Erie, which is going to be where we're going to start next. That's where we're going to be going next week. Is going to be for Virginia. We're going to be next Sunday. Let's go ahead and prepare for leg number 2, guys. Let's make our way over to Concord. This one's gonna be probably the shortest leg of the trip. Oh yeah, another thing about the Shock Ultra is nice. This thing is a stole machine. No, 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 no. Balls. Oh, Fraser Shipyard has the Sykes and American Shipbuilding's working on the generator, and we're like, oh, cool. Start staff. Cool. Thank you. So I think we're gonna be visiting Duluth in one of the states. We'll be visiting Minnesota. We'll be heading to Duluth as one of our final stop for Minnesota got planned. And I'm also gonna be going for my new series that's coming up in the future, which is I'm working on a national park series starter staff. And one of the in Duluth's gonna be the starting point for Isle Royale National Park. I've got that planned, but Duluth is gonna be the starting point for Isle Royale National Park, which is way up the coast in Michigan. It is the among the least visited national parks in the country, by the way. Isle Royale National Park. So I think that would be really cool. Yeah, the largely on the Great Lakes. Yep, I got plenty of notes covered. I'm working on notes for all the national parks so far. So lots of shipwrecks. Oh, I know. Trust me, there are plenty of shipwrecks in Isle Royale. Um, up there as well. But yeah, one of the other things that's unique about that national park too, it's actually not the largest island. It's actually the second largest island in the lakes. Manitoulin Island in Ontario is still larger. But yeah, the thing about this national park that's really unique is the fact it is it is one of the least visited national parks. 19,000 people in 2018, which makes it the fourth least visited park. The only three less visited are, of course, the three of the remote Alaska parks, like Clark, Kobuk Valley, and Gates of the Arctic. So I know I do want to go someday visit those Alaskan parks, particularly the national park I'll be heading to in Alaska next year is Denali. I'm going to be actually heading to Denali next year, which is super exciting for me. And because Denali is one of the national parks I really wanted to see, and if I get lucky enough, I'm actually thinking about paying with me and my parents do a plane trip up to the summit of Denali. So get a twin engine plane, and we're gonna fly all the way up to the summit of Denali. 20,000 feet. Like, come on, like, how much of an opportunity you're gonna get to fly up to the summit of Denali? Yeah, not much of a hiker. Yeah, it's got some pretty good hiking stuff, but you can also do boating, canoeing, kayaking as well. In the park. But yeah, it's good for the boating and stuff, and kayaking because it's got some great areas. You know, and that's kind of similar to another national park, Sergeant Staff. Another similar one to this, Isle Royale, is also in Minnesota from Duluth, and that is it's Voyageurs National Park, which is up there as well. And Voyageurs is similar to Isle Royale in a sense that it's also boating and all that. Yeah, take him up in the offer. Yeah, it makes sense. But again, to visit one of the least visited parks though is still something most people don't get to do very. Yeah. Oh, and you know what's also funny enough too, Sergeant Staff? I don't think I know you're a Michiganer, and you might probably not know this. But what if I told you that Mackinac Island was also once a national park? Yes, Mackinac Island used to be a national park. Back in the old days. It was actually it was supposed to be America's second national park. Hey, Sneaky Fiddly, thank you so much for the follow. I hope you enjoy your time here in the channel. Hiawatha National Forest. No worries. I want to do some hiking stuff too. Even though I'm not physically the fittest, I'll definitely want to do an occasional hike or two. Because like I said, that's one of the best ways to explore these parks. Sometimes is to hike through some of the beautiful areas and such. Is you definitely want to explore these areas for hiking. I knew it was. There was still Burst Fortress there. I know. It's pretty crazy to think of it. But yeah, it was supposed to be America's second national park, funnily enough. It was one of the former national parks. There are a couple of other former national parks, too. And there were there were some other ones. There was also Fort McHenry used to be a national park. Um, Whitehorse Hill Game Preserve was once a national park as Sully's Hill Park. It's one of the seven that's been disbanded. The other former national parks included General Grant National Park, but that was incorporated to Kings Canyon. Abraham Lincoln National Park in Kentucky, it was redesignated as a National Historical Park. You have Hawaii National Park, which was divided into both Hawaiian volcanoes and Haleakala. Platt National Park, which was once the smallest national park, now operates as Arbuckle Recreation Area and redesignated as Chickasaw Natural Area. Rock Creek Park, becoming National Capital Parks, and Sawyer's Hill became transferred to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service as the Whitehorse Hill National Game Preserve. Yes, there used to be 7 national parks. Oh, yes. Oh, really? The Stu Locks, the observation deck. Really? I didn't know about that. That's interesting. Yeah, there's still a lot to know about. So, of course, the lake we see here in front of us is actually the largest lake in the state. This is Lake Winnipesaukee. Interesting history about this lake. Why this is a pretty significant one. There's 264 islands in this lake. It's about 21 miles long and 1 to 9 miles wide, covering 69 square miles. Third largest lake in the region after Lake Champlain and Moosehead Lake. Um, this area is significant in sport and history as it was home to the first intercollegiate sport event in the country as Harvard defeated Yale during the Harvard-Yale Regatta in 1852, which is still going on even to this day. So, very cool stuff this lake is. very popular with a lot of locals and tourists like this lake. No worries, Sarge. Thank you so much for bringing your viewers in uh, onto this stream. Thank you so much. Great to have you and your viewers here today. Um, and I hope to see you again soon. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks again, as always. But what a beautiful lake. So a little bit about New Hampshire I do want to come over is New Hampshire's economy. Now, New Hampshire's economy is around $86 billion, which is the 40th among all U.S. states. Its median household income, however, is the fourth highest in the country. It's $74,000. Agriculturally, its main agricultural products are dairy, nursery stock, cattle, apples, and eggs. While industrially, it outputs machinery, electric equipment, rubber and plastic products, and tourism are its main outputs. New Hampshire has experienced a major shift in economic base during the 20th century. Originally, it consisted of textiles, shoemaking, small machine shops. However, nowadays, it's mainly for a more diverse economy with real estate, business services, manufacturing, government and government services, and healthcare are the major parts of New Hampshire's economy. It also has low electric use because of the low demand of air conditioning. But basically, what I'm saying is that economic-wise, while its GDP is small, its per capita GDP and income are actually really high. And what a gorgeous lake, man. New Hampshire's pretty. It is pretty, that's for sure. Oh, what a beautiful state. What a gorgeous lake. We're just 24 nautical miles from our next stop to Concord, so we don't have to worry about too much when we get to capital. So I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I'm having a lot of fun here today in New Hampshire. This is absolutely a gorgeous state to visit. I was just really blown away about how nice this place is to fly. We'll head this way for another 24 nautical miles, and we head our way down to Concord. if you guys are wanting to check out my streams, if you guys are enjoying this content and you want to continue supporting the channel, smash that follow button and support the channel. We stream 3 days a week, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. We do our 50 states and 50 streams every Friday and Sunday here on Twitch. Wednesdays will be our virtual airline stream, though I'm thinking about in the future, we'll also be doing some other series too. I got a couple things planned on for those Sundays, for the Wednesday stuff. I think one of my next series I may want to do, I want to do some of the roads and stuff, some IFR stuff. I mean, IFAL roads. I'm looking at some of the major highways. I want to cover some roads and trails, like the Appalachian Trail would be one I want to do. Maybe the Appalachian Trail would be one I may want to do. Talk about the historic trail. But I may want to make a variation of that trail. Instead of focusing on GA, maybe do some bush playing. Maybe do some bush trips, maybe fly around the mountains, try and find some really cool places to land, explore some of the peaks. Be pretty cool. Oh. That might be a really cool one. Do some road series. Maybe do some U.S. road highway system. Maybe do some new U.S. road routes potentially. Maybe do some of the U.S. route system. Maybe U.S. Route 1 could be one I might do. Key West all the way to Maine would be cool on the coast. That would be really cool. I know everyone does Route 66, and I even did a U.S. Route 66 series earlier. But there might be a couple more routes I might want to do. Maybe do some other routes. Which might include Route 2, Route 1, U.S. Route 1, maybe Route 11 could be considered. There might be a few roads I might consider as well, but do someone different. I know everyone does 66, and I completely understand pop culture and all that was a major deal. But there's still so many other U.S. routes you guys can actually. Like, for example, you could do U.S. Route 20, potentially. Run across from Oregon, Idaho, Wyoming, and all that. You could do that, which is technically the longest road in the United States from U.S. Route 20, potentially. Do that. That might be one I may want to do. Some new routes from Oregon to Massachusetts. That could be one that you could do. Route 20, which is, or you could do U.S. Route 60 potentially, Arizona to Virginia. That's another one. You go through Texas, Oklahoma, all that. What I'm trying to say is that there's multiple main routes you guys can visit. Or you could do US 61, north to south. It's often called the Blues Highway. But basically, yeah, there's just so many unique US routes besides just But basically what I'm trying to say is there's multiple US routes you guys can do. It doesn't have to just be routes 6. There's tons of great, interesting routes you can take. Some of these are longer. Some of these have really cool scenery. And similar, you can do these divide trails. In fact, I might do these instead with the GA bush plains we have. Like, I know the Appalachian Trail is one I might do, but I might also do the Continental Divide Trail. You can go up to the Continental Divide. Or the Pacific Crest Trail, you can do that as well, to the Pacific Crest. Now, I might do those sort of stuff in the future, maybe on the Wednesday streams, maybe we can do that. That way we can do some interesting bush stuff, trails, and all that. Be a nice change of pace, too. Because I might want to keep it within general aviation. So we're going to be visiting Concord next. That is the state capital of New Hampshire, the seat of the government here in the state of Merrimack County. Population 42,000 people, making it the third most populous city in the state after Manchester and Nashua. Concord was settled back by Europeans in 1659. On January 17, 1725, the province of Massachusetts Bay granted the area as the plantation of Pennacook. It was incorporated as a town in Rumford in 1734, but it changed its name in 1765 after a boundary dispute with the neighboring town of Bow. Concord was meant to signify the new harmony between the two towns. It was named the official seat of the government in 1808, and the state house is completed in 1819, and still is the oldest U.S. state capital where the legislature still meets in its original chambers. Of course, it's within the Merrimack River watershed, and the city is centered on the river. Today, the top employer in the city is the state of New Hampshire, and the large private employer was the Concord Hospital. It's also the resting place. Also, Concord is where Franklin Pierce, the 14th president of the United States and the only U.S. president to come from New Hampshire, and he was the only U.S. president to be coming from New Hampshire, making him probably New Hampshire's most famous person. He was also the 14th president, and he's buried at the Old North Cemetery here in Concord. Pretty cool stuff. And the thing about Franklin Pierce was, he was actually a Democrat from the Northern Democrat. Usually Democrats were more dominant in the South, but he was a Northern Democrat, and he was definitely one of the weaker U.S. He was popular, though a lot of people. He was popular, however, he had a bad reputation up north. He's considered to be one of the worst U.S. presidents of all time because of his support for the South and failing to hold the Union together. Historians, scholars ranked him as one of the worst presidents in American history. And finally, our next stop is Concord Municipal Airport. This little airport is currently a GA facility here in Concord. It used to be airline service back in the old days. However, with Manchester being built, most of the flights that went to Concord go to the larger Manchester-Boston airport. Still nowadays, it's mainly GA facility, but it's currently for today. Will be in Concord. I know it's weird I'm doing like this, but to be fair, I'm hand flying this one, so it's obviously going to be a little trickier to fly. It's not nearly as stable as some other planes. Forget to it. But yeah, today's been a good day for me. I've been working on more stuff for my stream stuff. Here's Concord. Here's the state capital of New Hampshire in the distance. Is our state capital of New Hampshire, Concord. Let's see if we can find this, what would be the state house. And then we'll make our second landing of the day here. Concord Municipal Airport. Yeah, this state is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, look at the state. This is a gorgeous area here. You'll see some of the mountains and stuff too. It's a gorgeous area at the front. Let's see where we can find the state. I think the state house is around here. Ah, there it is. There's the state house of Connecticut. Here's little old Concord. I know we don't usually fly close to these cities in real life. Quite some. Absolutely. Yeah, this is the little city of Concord. Make our way over to Concord Regional, and we'll have our second lane of the day. Pretty little town. Mm. So we'll pop in and we're here. We'll, we'll sit right here for just a little bit as we prepare for the final leg of the trip to Portsmouth. So we'll just rest here for just a little bit if you guys want to join on in, of course. Yeah, not really much going on here today for other stuff here. But New Hampshire, I really do enjoy this state a lot. It's a really So if you guys are like, I really enjoyed my time here in New Hampshire. So let's go ahead and prepare for one final leg. And before we do that, I'm gonna go ahead and load in the fuels. Back into this and load back the. And of course, up in the air. Yeah, if it's one thing the shot culture is good at, this thing's a stole machine. This thing will take off from anywhere. We're going to head down first. We're going to head to New Hampshire's most populous city, Manchester. So we'll be making our way down there. Here we go, guys. Manchester, New Hampshire. And no, don't confuse it for Manchester in the United Kingdom. Manchester, New Hampshire is the most populous city in the state and the 10th most populous city in the region of New England. Population 115,000 people. It's within the boundaries of the greater Boston metro area. This city is straddles around the banks of the Merrimack River, named after merchant inventor Samuel Blodgett. And reminded him of similar to that of the original Manchester in England, the world's first industrialized city. Currently, during the Industrial Revolution, this city was a major industrial and economic hub for New England, thanks to the Amoskeag Manufacturing Company being the largest cotton textile plant in the world. After World War II, many textile manufacturers left the city, but new industries were introduced to the city, such as the Decker Research and Development Corporation. The city was actually incorporated as Dairyfield in 1751 and incorporated as Manchester in 1846. This city is known for the historic Palace Theater, KERR Museum of Art, New Hampshire Institute of Art, the Franco-American Center, Zimmerman House, and more. At one point, it was actually home to illegal gambling. It was once nicknamed Manch Vegas due to illegal gambling in local businesses. It's also known as the chicken tender capital of the world. Funnily enough. But pretty cool stuff about little old Manchester. We'll be paying a visit. We might see remnants of the old manufacturing plant. Yes, at one point, that building was the largest textile plant in the world during the 19th century. At its peak, this company had 17,000 employees in 30 buildings for textiles. It used to be a very big company. Nowadays, it's not so much, but you can still see remnants of these old companies. Still see the old remnants still there. To reference New Hampshire's once proud textile history. For textile. Here is the Merrimack River. What a cool area. Oh yeah, they all hey Splasher6, good to see you, Splasher. It's been a while since I've seen you in my chat. So guys, if you don't know about Splasher6, an amazing dude. I've always been a massive fan of Splasher6. Love his content, and I'm proud mod of his channel. Splasher6 makes some really great flight sim content. Particularly, he's doing his cadet series where he's following his dad's career as a cadet for World War II. So if you want to learn more about that sort of stuff, absolutely check out Splasher6. Amazing guy. So Splasher, I hope you're doing well today. I know I caught your stream yesterday. You were flying from Goose Bay over to Reykjavik in the DC-6 because they didn't have your B-17 back then. But it's great to see you, my dude. Always great to have you here. So I know some flights are available for MSFS 2024. I still probably need to learn how to install them. Because I know the Tiger Moth and the Drifter are now available for MSFS 2024. They're now compatible with it. I just wasn't so sure about installing them because I didn't know how compatible to be. I want to wait till they get fully compatible for 2024 just to be on the safe side. But definitely some very important stuff going on. Okay, here's Manchester. Oh, really? Cool. Yeah, Manchester, New Hampshire. Really neat city for sure. It used to be a major textile city. Textiles used to be a big deal here. I think we're flying over what was once the big mill buildings here. At one point, it was home to the largest milling company in the world. It had 17,000 employees and 30 buildings. Nowadays, not so much anymore, but Manchester's still historically been a very important city when it comes to filming and all that. Here's Manchester. So earlier today, Splasher, if you're not there earlier, we started back in Errol. We went up to the northern half of the state. So we were in Errol. We made our way down to Mount Washington. The weather in Mount Washington, the view from Mount Washington is stunning, though you do have to be careful with the winds, because Mount Washington has some of the most notorious winds in the country. So you do have to be careful. Then we made our way to there, and then we made our way to our first stop, One Papa One. Then we visit the largest lake in the state, went to Concord, and now we're heading to our final leg. And this is going to be one of the longer legs. But we're going to make our way over to New Hampshire's coast. Give you a little bit of taste of New Hampshire from the mountains north to the coast. New Hampshire, really beautiful state. It's a shame though, because this state gets really overlooked for GA in the eastern half of the country. When most people, I think, stream in the East Coast US for general aviation stuff on our flight sim, most people either fly GA like West Virginia or North Carolina, like in the Smokies, or they may fly New York a bit. New Hampshire gets seriously. New Hampshire and her sister Vermont get really overlooked, um, despite the fact that I think these states are just pretty and they have amazing stuff going on too. So I think they get really overlooked. That's why I think the 50 states, 50 stream stuff is, I think, going to be really good because guess what? Visit these areas that people don't normally get to fly. Yes, it is. Mount Washington's the tallest mountain in the Northeast United States. It's the tallest in the Northeast and the most topographically prominent mountain east of the Mississippi. And yes, at one point you would never believe this, but Mount Washington once had winds up to 230 miles an hour. Yes, the winds in Mount Washington are. If you want to see what those wind speeds look like, here's a link to the YouTube channel. But yes, it shows you the wind speeds of Mount Washington, and it is not uncommon to have winds over 100 miles an hour here. It is not uncommon. It's due to the ventility effect, where wind doesn't really have a lot of friction up in the mountains. And due to that lack of friction, that's why this area gets incredibly windy that time of the year. Yes, the wind's nasty up here. Yeah, and the guy there, he could barely even hold on to his feet in Mount Washington. Yeah, so the world's worst weather. Yes, it's terrible up there. Yeah, that gives you an idea of what things are up there in Mount Washington. Rough, but like I said, New Hampshire's a really cool state. It gets, which is why I'm glad that we get to visit each U.S. state. So we're going to talk a little bit more about New Hampshire for a bit. Let's go ahead and talk about transportation in the state. Got a couple more slides to take care of New Hampshire while we're here. So first thing first about New Hampshire to cover is transportation. So New Hampshire has a well-maintained, well-designed network of interstate highways, U.S. highways, and state. State highway markers still depict the old man of the mountain despite the rock formation demise in 2003. There are several major state and interstate highways, including I-80. For interstate, it could be I-89, I-93, and I-95. But the main one is I-93, which runs from Salem in the Massachusetts border to Littleton in the Vermont border. And there's also a couple of U.S. routes, including U.S. Route 1 and 2, go through here. But most notably is New Hampshire Route 16 as well, and New Hampshire Route 101. New Hampshire also has 25 public use airports, with 3 with some scheduled commercial service. The largest, of course, is actually Manchester, which we just visited, and Londonderry, which serves the Boston area. However, if you want international flights, you can often make your way up to Boston, because obviously New Hampshire isn't very far from Boston, especially if you live near Concord and Manchester, which are the 2 most populated cities. They're all really close to Boston. You can just take an interstate drive up to Boston. Long-distance rail service is provided by Amtrak's Vermont and Downeaster rail lines. And finally, Greyhound, Concord Coach all provide intercity bus connection. And there's also a few tourist railroads, and they let you check out the beautiful mountain scenery. And they let you check out the scenery in the mountains of Vermont. New Hampshire. A lot of beautiful stuff. And New Hampshire's got tons of great all across the state. Yeah, it is absolutely perfect. talking about sports, New Hampshire, of course, has no major league sports teams. To be fair, New Hampshire it is one of the least populated states in the country. It's not really that surprising. But there are some interesting sports stuff. They got minor league teams, most notably the minor league New Hampshire Fisher Cats, the AA affiliate of the Blue Jays. They also have an independent minor league team, the New Hampshire Wild in Concord. Also, paintball was invented in New Hampshire in 1981 by in Henniker. And Sutton was the home of the world's first paintball facility. It is also home to a NASCAR racetrack, the New Hampshire Motor Speedway, which is visited by NASCAR Cup Series, Xfinity Series, Craftsman Truck, IndyCar Series has visited there. So yes, New Hampshire has its own NASCAR racetrack, and that's in London, New Hampshire. And finally, New Hampshire has two Division I programs: Dartmouth, which plays in the prestigious Ivy League, and the New Hampshire Wildcats of the America East FCS. They mainly play college sports in New Hampshire. They also have a couple Division II teams: Franklin Pierce, St. Anselm, and Seven, New Hampshire. Yes, no major league teams, obviously. And I mean, why do that when most of the people are close? You can watch Boston. So there you go. And finally, for culture, in the springtime, many of the sap houses hold sugar enough open houses because obviously maple sap is important for maple syrup. During the summer and autumn times, New Hampshire is home to many county fairs, the largest being the Hopkinton State Fair in Pontotoc, and it's one of the most well-known events in New England. Also in Peterborough has been the Peterborough Players since 1933, and you also have the Barnstormers Theater, which is one of the longest-running professional summer theaters in the country. There's also the New Hampshire Highland Games played every year in September, with an official tartan. That's right, New Hampshire has its own tartan with proper authorities in Scotland, which is pretty crazy. And of course, during the fall season, you obviously have the fall foliage, so of course you can take down many of the roads up here. And during the winter is where its ski areas and snowmobile trails attract a lot of visitors, as well as ice fishing. Yes, New Hampshire has quite a few things going forward for culture. Even if it is a smaller state, it does have some unique things that separate New Hampshire from some of the other ones. So, of course, here are some fun facts about the Granite State. Now, of course, you have the state has several native species, including the Carter blue butterfly, the lynx, bald eagle, short-eared sturgeon, Atlantic salmon, and dwarf wedge mussels are in the state's endangered species. In Portsmouth Naval Shipyard, they built the USS Albacore. At one point, she was the fastest submarine ever designed, built in Portsmouth. Because obviously Portsmouth was a major shipbuilding area, and we'll talk more about shipbuilding and stuff when we get to visit here, of course. New Hampshire is the only U.S. state that's ever hosted a formal conclusion of a foreign war. That's right. Little New Hampshire was actually played host to a formal conclusion of a war, and that's because in 1905, Portsmouth was the seat of the treaty ending the Russo-Japanese War. And if you guys want me to give you a little history context of the Russo-Japanese War, basically the Russo-Japanese War was actually fought to acquire Korea. The Japanese want to expand her empire and want to expand her influence in East Asia because they were threatened by the Russians. So, in fact, Japan declared war on Russia, and it led to Russia's humiliating defeat in the Russo-Japanese War. In a war that would pretty much change a lot of Asia, in fact. Because the Russo-Japanese War was that, and it led to some huge defeats of the war. For one, it had a lot of effects in Russia and Japan. In fact, in Russia, it added to the Russian Revolution of 1905. And the defeat really haunted the Russians. and there was a lot of unrest thanks to the war. And of course, for Japan, it helped put Japan as a rising power to compete with the Europeans. And stuff. So yeah, that war very much changed all of Asia. Just a bit of context. Of course, it's known as a granite state due to it once had a large industry with the quarrying of granite. And of course, you have granite and all sorts of things. 20th century New England community of Wolfboro is known as the oldest summer resort in America, and that's because Wolfboro was a major area for tourism back in the day. Good old Wolfboro. And finally, most importantly too, is a fun fact: for 1 gallon of maple syrup, you need to take 40 gallons of sap to make 1 gallon of maple syrup. And to do that, well, it's actually because of how they make maple syrup. In order to actually make the maple syrup and how to actually make it, you have to boil a lot of this maple syrup. You have to boil. You have to add defoamers. And you have to boil the syrup with tightly controlled. So you have to watch out how much soy sap you boil. You have to keep boiling it and watching and controlling how much you boil the syrup. That's why it takes so many gallons for that to happen. And finally, here are some notable people from New Hampshire, including Solomon Portland, jurist from Cornish, Ralph Adams Cram, architect from Hampton Falls, Mary Moore's Baker Eddy, founder and religious leader of Bow, Horace Greeley, journalist from Amherst, John Langton, political leader from Portsmouth, and of course, the most famous person from the States, Franklin Pierce from Hillsborough, are some of the most notable people of New Hampshire. Again, the state gets kind of overlooked sometimes. Here it is, guys. Yes, New Hampshire has a coastline, but it's only about nearly 13 miles of coast. Yes, no kidding. 18 miles of coastline. And guys, we're going to travel through all of New Hampshire's coastline on this stream. So that means we're going to go through all of it this stream. So yeah, we're going to go through all of New Hampshire's 18 miles of coastline. 10, That's because, yeah, New Hampshire has a small coastline, so travel through all of it today. But guys, thank you all so much for coming here today. I mean, thank you everyone for tuning on in today. Yeah, New Hampshire, what a great state. Tons of really cool stuff about New Hampshire. Really. But yeah, we only have 3 more states left to finish the 13 colonies. Because next week we got Virginia and New York. That'll be next week. And then after that, the week after will be North Carolina and Rhode Island, the last of the 13 colonies. So yeah, we don't have very much more left to go to finishing the 13 colonies. Then every other state from here on out is, of course, new states that we've added. So hey, thank you so much, Will McCockfit. Good to see ya, Will. Thank you so much for the follow, my dude. Thank you so much. So we're gonna make our way over here as well. Thank you so much. We're gonna go ahead and follow down the New Hampshire coastline. Hey, Quaggy UK, good to see ya, Quaggy. I hope you're doing well, my dude. We're nearly the end of our New Hampshire journey, Quaggy. We're checking out all 18 or something miles of New Hampshire's coastline. Yes, it is the smallest coastline of any U.S. coastal state. So we had a great day. So we started back in Arrow Airport in the northern half of the state. We checked out the White Mountain Range, the White Mountains of New Hampshire. We got to check out Mount Washington, where the storms could easily get over 100 miles an hour. Then we visited Concord, state capital, and now we're heading to Portsmouth, our final destination for. Yeah, what a cool place though. New Hampshire, definitely a beautiful, underrated state in the Northeast. I know it may not get the attraction of states like Maine or Massachusetts, but I think New Hampshire deserves some bit of some respect. Let's go over and cover our last slide. Portsmouth, New Hampshire, our last destination here today. So Portsmouth, New Hampshire is population 21,000. This historic seaport and tourist destination borders the U.S. state of Maine. It was once home to Peace Air Force Base, the former home of the Strategic Air Command. Now it's its own airport. The city's been around since 1930. It was named after Portsmouth, Hampshire, in the United Kingdom, and it's located in the south coast. Also, a fun fact about that English city, Portsmouth, in the UK, is also where the Royal Navy was actually built. A lot of the fleets. It's the world's greatest naval port back in the day. Actually visit the Mary Rose Museum, HMS Victory, definitely a place I would like to visit. I do want to visit the old naval warship, the oldest naval vessel still in commission, HMS Victory. And it was a very important ship for a lot of the British fleet. But Portsmouth itself was a major shipbuilding city, just like the real one. Just like the one in England, it is a major shipbuilding area. They built a lot of shipbuilding stuff. Its own naval shipyard, established in 1800, was the first Federal Navy yard, and it was famous for being the signing of the Treaty of Portsmouth in 1905 to end the Russo-Japanese War. This shipyard produced quite a few notable ships, by the way. Mainly, today the ship, it's still continuously operating even to today, and it mainly works on the overhaul, repair, and modernization of submarines. And there are plenty of ships that have been notably been built here, here in the harbor. And some of these ships include USS Washington, in 1814. You have the monitor ship, the Agamentus, one of 4 of those built during the Civil War, the ironclad ships. And of course, her first submarine built here was L8. It was built in 1917, the first one built for World War One. And that began the whole building of many of the U.S. submarines built here, including various submarine classes, Corvus-class subs, Sargo-class, most well-known, the Gatto-class, including the one I actually visited in real life, the USS Drum, which was actually produced here in Portsmouth. Of the Gatto, Palau-class, Hench-class, and of course the experimental submarine, the Albacore, one of the fastest submarines ever built. And the Albacore can go up to speeds up to 25 knots. Yes, you can actually visit the sub. How cool is that? She's available to the public. So you guys can check her out. HMS Nelson's here. Nelson's flagship. Cool. Oh, really? Yeah, you live in Portsmouth, England. Oh, cool. HMS Victory. I know. She's an old ship. I mean, we technically have an equivalent to her in the United States, the USS Constitution. That's basically the closest thing to the HMS Victory, because she's still the oldest U.S. vessel still sailing. So she's technically the USS equivalent. That's up in Boston. Of course, we'll be checking out Portsmouth International Airport. She used to be known as, of course, Peace Air Base, which was used by the Strategic Air Command. Nowadays, she's now a major civilian airport in 1999. She mainly does low-cost airline flights to destinations in Florida. However, she used to have a lot richer history as an Air Force base. And she had a long history for the Strategic Air Command during the Civil War. They did a lot of B-47 Stratojets, KC-97s, B-52s, and more. She was mainly used by a lot of the Strategic Air Command. You know, a lot richer history for that. No worries, Splasher, about lurking. Thank you so much for coming on in. We're just about to make our way to Portsmouth. So yeah, Portsmouth, England. Actually, technically Quaggy. I'm going to be in England next year, so I'm going to be into England, not next year, I'm going to be in England this year. However, I don't think I'm going to visit Portsmouth. I'll actually be docked in Southampton, sadly. But I would wish to go visit Portsmouth, check out the old dockyard, of course. Wish I could go there, but I don't think we'll go to Portsmouth, sadly, when I get to England in May and June. But I would really wish to go, because you got Fort Nelson up there, because there's so many museums and stuff. Fort Nelson's there. Charles Dickens' birthplace, they got that up there. Because I did research, but of course it's naval history. Most notably, the Royal Navy Museum. Like the HMS Victory, and of course the big old museum for the Royal Navy. Which is what put the British Empire to what it was for all those centuries. Why Britain's been so dominant as an empire was their Royal Navy. Oh yeah, I know it's only 25 minutes away, but I don't know if we want to do that though. Because I know we're going to spend a lot of time in London during the trip. We're going to spend time in London. I think we're going to do one of these days, check out the London landmarks. One of the other days, we might check out Dover, check out the cliffs of Dover and all that. Yeah, I do appreciate. I would want to go visit Portsmouth to check out some of the historic stuff here. Yeah, super cool though. I would love to check that out. Definitely. Like I said, my parents have wanted to visit the United Kingdom, so I'm very much looking forward to. Yeah, this is Portsmouth, guys. By the way, North Portsmouth, New Hampshire. So here's Portsmouth, and we're gonna make our landing here very shortly. Let me put on the music. I got the. Simple Portsmouth here. We'll make our landing here at PSM. So, but yeah, I'm definitely gonna enjoy my time in London. Yeah, we're just more worried about our flights and getting things right. I'm trying to plan out what we're wanting to do for tours stuff. I think we know what we're going to do. Yeah, I'm gonna let my parents know about Portsmouth. Check. And I know Southampton's got a few things too. Um, I know Southampton's got a few things too. You got the old Tudor house and stuff. They got all that in Southampton. Where are you landing? Airport wise, we're gonna be landing in Heathrow, of course. We're gonna fly in and out of Cincinnati into London because Cincinnati is the only airport around where I live that flies to London correctly. On British Airlines, 787 Dreamliner. That's where. And deploy the flaps. But yeah, it's gonna be Heathrow, of course. But the reason we're heading to the United Kingdom is because we have a 12-day cruise in the Isles. That's why we're going to the United Kingdom later this year in May. Because we got a 12-day cruise in the Isles on Princess. You're gonna go London. We're gonna go from Southampton, Cork, to Liverpool, Belfast, Glasgow, Kirkwall, Inverness, Edinburgh, and Le Havre. So we're gonna be checking all those places. In particular, Le Havre is gonna be more interesting because we're gonna visit Normandy. Oh yeah, Southampton is a big ship port. It is. It is definitely a big ship. Yeah, Southampton's a big ship port. For sure, for sure. Yeah, I'm very excited to visit the UK. I can't wait to get pictures to show you guys about all this. I can't wait to show you. So, guys, that's it. We've officially landed in Portsmouth, guys. That wraps up today's stream here in New Hampshire. Um, so we're right here in New Hampshire. Oh, hey, Will McCockfit. Good to see you, Will. Just for my first one yesterday was thinking about getting some flight controls. Great question. Um, if you're on PC, I recommend getting yourself I have my setup here, which is the PCA Airbus Thrustmaster Quadrant and throttle. You can get it together in one pack. That would be really great because you have a joystick and throttle. And there's three things you need. You need your joystick, you need your throttle quadrant, and you need yourself rudder pedals. Because trust me, you're gonna need to have the brakes to stop your plane. I still have my Thrustmaster stuff that I bought for 2020. It's still just as good nowadays. But yeah, it's those three things. It's those three, and I have all Thrustmaster stuff. You saw it called Airbus? Yes, it's the T Airbus Quadrant. Um, it's called the Officer Air. It's the one I have. It's this. Um, it's this. It's, no worries. Yeah, I sent you the link. It's those three things, but I have the Thrustmaster be the cheapest. It'd be pretty inexpensive and easy to get. So guys, that's it everyone. We're here in beautiful Portsmouth, New Hampshire, guys. We're wrapping up the stream here. We just made our final stop here in beautiful New Hampshire, guys. This was an absolutely fantastic flight. I wasn't expecting New Hampshire to be this gorgeous, but it really was. So guys, we'll be returning back on Wednesday. We'll be in Nizhny Novgorod, Russia. This one. Right, we're flying in the motherland today on Wednesday. So we'll be back on Wednesday in the motherland. So we'll be seeing you guys very shortly. We're gonna go say hello to a raid. We're gonna raid NorCali today. So we're gonna make sure you guys stick around for the raid. So take care, guys, and have a fantastic rest of your weekend. Take care, everyone, and see you all soon. Goodbye, everyone.